I've been married to my wife, Laura, for over 2 decades. When we first met, she was raising her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, on her own. I still remember the first time I saw Lily. She was running through a park, clutching a kite string, her giggles echoing as Laura held her other hand. That moment felt like a glimpse into my future. Laura was candid about her past from the beginning. Lily's biological father, James, was unreliable, showing up sporadically with grand promises he never kept. He'd call on special occasions, leave a small gift, then vanish. Lily's face would light up whenever he appeared, though Laura worked hard to shield her from disappointment. When Laura and I grew closer, she made it clear that Lily was her top priority. I embraced that fully. What I didn't anticipate was how much I'd come to love Lily. It wasn't instant, but every "I love you, Daddy," and every scribbled picture with my name misspelled slowly carved a place in my heart. I was there when she wobbled on her first bike, cheering through her tumbles. I held her close during a frightening fever at midnight, while Laura searched for medicine. At her first school play, I rehearsed her lines with her until she could recite them flawlessly. On the big night, she peeked from behind the curtain, searching for me in the audience for courage. I was always there. James, meanwhile, was a fleeting shadow, promising trips or toys that never materialized. When Lily cried over his broken vows, I was the one who comforted her. I never wanted to undermine her hope in him. As Lily grew, our connection deepened. I attended her parent-teacher conferences, helped her choose her prom dress, and shouted encouragement from the sidelines at her soccer matches. She called me Dad, and though I wasn't her biological father, I felt the weight and honor of that title. That's why what happened later shattered me. When Lily went to college, I supported her without question. I paid for most of her tuition, textbooks, and even her modest apartment. It strained my finances, but I wanted her to have opportunities I never had. James remained distant, occasionally calling to say, "I'm proud of you," but never contributing or being truly present. At her graduation, Lily ran to me, eyes brimming with tears, saying, "Thank you, Dad, for everything. I wouldn't be here without you." That moment made every sacrifice worthwhile. When Lily announced her engagement to Ethan, I was thrilled. I pictured walking her down the aisle, a moment that would symbolize our shared journey. I never voiced it, but I assumed that role was mine, given my presence through every milestone. In the weeks before the wedding, Lily was buzzing with excitement, discussing her gown, the venue, and the music. I contributed significantly, covering parts of the reception, her dress, and unexpected expenses. I didn't expect gratitude, but I hoped to be recognized as a key part of her day. Then the invitation arrived. I opened it eagerly, only to find my name listed among regular guests. Worse, Lily had chosen James to escort her down the aisle. At first I thought it was an error. When I asked her, her response crushed me. "I only have one real father, and I've always dreamed of him doing this." The words stung, delivered so casually, as if my decades of devotion were irrelevant. It wasn't just her decision. It was her indifference to my role that broke me. The wedding day was one of the most painful of my life. I arrived early, dressed in a suit I'd had made for the occasion, and sat quietly among the guests. I watched as James walked Lily down the aisle, all eyes on them. During the toasts, I waited for a mention of my contributions or presence. Nothing. I was a stranger at my daughter's wedding. Something inside me fractured that day. The part of me that had always given without question withered. I didn't realize it then, but that moment sparked a shift that would change everything. Seeing Lily on James's arm, glowing as a bride should, was a memory now tainted with resentment. Not because I wished her ill, but because I felt erased. A week after the wedding, Lily and Ethan jetted off for a lavish honeymoon, a tropical paradise with stunning beaches and luxury accommodations. I avoided asking about it, unable to engage with something that marked the end of our bond. What I didn't expect was Lily's call upon their return. Her voice was cheerful, as if nothing had changed. She raved about the ocean views and a romantic dinner Ethan had arranged. I listened quietly, offering brief replies, struggling to stay composed. Then came the inevitable pivot. "Dad," she said, the word now a painful reminder. "We need a favor." Unexpected honeymoon costs had piled up, and they were short on funds. Could I help? I was stunned. Her casual assumption that I'd agree, as I always had, felt like a slap. I was the fixer, the provider, the one who never said no. But this time, something snapped. Perhaps it was hurt pride or the weight of being taken for granted. "I'm sorry, Lily," I said, my voice calm but firm. "I can't help this time." Silence followed. "But you've always helped before," she said, her tone laced with shock. I exhaled deeply. "Maybe you should ask James. He's your real father, right? He can step up." Another pause, then a soft, "I get it. before she hung up. No fight, no anger, just an abrupt end that left me hollow. Laura confronted me later, calling me heartless for turning my back on Lily. I explained it wasn't about the money, it was about respect. I was there for her for over 20 years, Laura. When she had the chance to honor that, she acted like it didn't matter. I can't keep being her safety net. Laura didn't see it that way. To her, blood trumped everything, even when that blood had done nothing but disappoint. Our conversation ended in silence, and a subtle rift formed between us. Lily hasn't reached out since. Laura mentioned that Ethan was upset with me for abandoning Lily. Predictably, James had disappeared again. No calls, no support. Lily was likely realizing his true nature, but that didn't erase her actions or my pain. That night, alone in my study, I replayed every moment I'd been there for Lily, every dad she'd said with a smile, and questioned if it had all been a convenience to her. I don't know if I'll ever heal from this, but one thing is clear. I'm done giving when I have nothing left to offer. Update, 3 months later. Despite my attempts to keep my distance, tension keeps resurfacing. Laura constantly tries to mend things between Lily and me, her eyes filled with a mix of frustration and hope, as if I'll revert to the man who always said yes. But she doesn't grasp that something in me shifted at the wedding. I can't return to that role. Since I refused to cover Lily's honeymoon costs, our relationship has vanished. She hasn't contacted me, and while that initially stung, it now feels like freedom. No more thinly veiled requests for help. What caught me off guard was how quickly Lily's marriage hit rough waters. Over dinner one evening, Laura sighed heavily. "Lily and Ethan are struggling financially," she said. "Ethan lost his job and they're behind on rent." I continued eating, sensing her intent. She pressed on. "Don't you think we should help? She's our daughter." I set down my utensils. "I'm not her father anymore, Laura. Lily made that clear when she chose James. If she needs help, she can ask him." Laura stared at me, horrified. "How can you be so harsh? She's always relied on you. You can't abandon her now." I let out a bitter chuckle. Harsh? Harsh was how she treated me at her wedding. Invisible. Like 2 decades of being there meant nothing. If James is her father for the big moments, he can be there for the hard ones too. That ended the discussion. Laura left the table, her plate clattering in the sink. That night, we slept facing opposite walls, a new kind of distance settling in. Lily didn't reach out herself, but Ethan did. A week later, I received a terse message. "Hey, it's Ethan, Lily's husband. Can we talk? It's urgent." I hesitated, but agreed to meet. At a quiet diner, Ethan sat fidgeting with an untouched soda. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice strained. "I know things are strained with Lily, but we're in a bind and hoped you could help." I stayed silent, waiting. "We're struggling since the honeymoon," he admitted. "I lost my job and we're behind on rent. If we don't pay soon, we'll be evicted." I nodded, then asked, "Have you asked James?" Ethan blinked, caught off guard. "James? No, we haven't contacted him. Lily thought you've always been there." I gave a wry smile. "Exactly. And when she had the chance to show it, she chose James. So no, Ethan, I won't help. Maybe James can finally step up." He tried to plead, saying eviction wasn't fair to them, but I cut him off. "This is done. I wish you well, but I'm not your solution." I left him there, his soda still untouched. When I got home, Laura was waiting, her expression telling me she knew I'd refused. I didn't elaborate, and she didn't ask. Since then, Lily and Ethan have stopped trying. Laura remains upset but has stopped pushing. Yet I sense this isn't the end. When a foundation crumbles, more fallout always follows. It wasn't intentional, but something grew between us, like a stream carving a new path. It just happened. One night, after hours of talking about my isolation and Laura's coldness, Claire took my hand and said, "You deserve to feel valued. They're not letting you." Her words struck deep. I don't know why I leaned in. Maybe her empathy, maybe her gaze, but I kissed her and she didn't pull away. That night I didn't go home. I stayed with Claire, talking, laughing, releasing months of bottled up pain. For the first time in ages, I felt seen, desired, understood. I know it's wrong, but I don't regret it. Claire became my refuge, offering what I'd lost with Laura: connection. Laura suspects something. She notices my late returns or private texts, but hasn't confronted me. Claire feels guilt too, yet neither of us can stop. I know this can't last. When Laura learns the truth, it's over. But for now, Claire keeps me from feeling alone. Final update. 2 years later. 2 years have passed, and looking back, It feels like a faded storm, though its marks linger. I've rebuilt my life, but the damage remains. Laura and Lily have cut me out entirely, and in a strange way, that's been liberating. When I confessed about Claire, Laura's reaction was explosive. She confronted me before I could speak. "What's going on? I've seen you change. Tell me the truth." I admitted it. "Claire and we've been together. She was there when no one else was." Laura's face shifted from disbelief to rage. "So everything, our life, our family, meant nothing?" she shouted. I stood frozen. "Laura," I said, my voice breaking, "while you focused on saving Lily, I was drowning and you didn't notice." She screamed, "You've destroyed us! How could you?" Lily overheard, her voice cold. "I thought you were better than this. You just wanted to play the savior, and now look at you." I shook. "That's not true. You pushed me away. You chose James. I gave everything, and it was never enough." Laura cut in. "Enough? That doesn't excuse betrayal. Lily, let's go." They told me to leave and never return. It hurt, but it also felt like release. There was nothing left to salvage. I moved into a modest apartment. The divorce was grueling, but the real pain was losing the life I'd built. Claire stayed by my side, not excusing my choices, but not judging them either. Months later, as I started healing, Lily sent a message. "Dad, I know I hurt you. I failed you. But you'll always be my father. I'm sorry. Things won't be the same, but I love you." I didn't respond immediately. The wounds are still raw. Maybe one day I'll find closure. For now, I'm moving forward, carrying the weight of what I've lost.